students. Ms. McKittrick here and Mr. McKittrick, who is video recording.
Good morning.
And our children, you can hear them. So today we're going to be talking to you guys about what the next few weeks of school are going to look like, and we're going to get into our first topic. So for the next 7 weeks of school, we are going to cover the 7 characteristics of life.
Life.
Yep, life. Go in there, watch Dino Dano. Okay? And as we are covering and going over the 7 characteristics of life, our main goal is to focus on, is coronavirus or COVID-19 a living or a non-living thing in our world? Okay? So for the next few days, we're going to focus on metabolism and energy. To help us go over this, there are some vocab terms that we want to focus on, and you're going to take notes on these vocab terms in your Google Classroom worksheet. The first term is the term energy. Energy is what gives all living things the power to stay alive. And for us here on Earth, our ultimate source of energy is the sun. Now, what you have to understand about energy is that energy can never be created or destroyed. So the energy that comes from the sun and comes here to Earth and gets converted or changed into tons of other things, it never goes away, it never stops existing, it's all the same energy. We just keep converting it or changing it from one form to another. For example, the sun shines energy onto the earth, plants absorb that energy and convert or change it into sugar, and then when we eat that sugar, our bodies convert or change that energy into something called ATP. ATP is literally a little molecule that helps us do everything inside of our body. It's like energy in our body. Now, sometimes you'll hear this word metabolism associated with energy. Metabolism is all of the chemical processes that convert energy in our bodies and keep us alive. Usually we say if you have a faster metabolism, you can eat a lot of food and you always... Sorry. Callie. You always stay skinny, okay? Someone that has a slower metabolism, if they eat a lot of food, a lot of that food gets changed into fat in their bodies, okay? So metabolism is breaking down food and giving you energy. Also, when we talk about energy in our body, sometimes we will talk about and show a chemical reaction, which looks like this. Things going in, then they are converted, or the reaction happens, which is represented by an arrow, and things coming out. The things that go in, we call the reactants. It means simply what we start with. Think about it like if we were cooking. These are the ingredients, okay? The reaction is like the part where you put the food in the oven, and then the products are what you end up with, what comes out, what has been changed or converted. So when we're talking about some of these equations, like this first one, we can represent it with words, carbon dioxide and water, or with the elements that they're made out of, CO2 plus H2O. These are what we call the reactants, what we start with. The ingredients is another way to think about them. After they go through what we call photosynthesis, which is our reaction, they're converted or changed into the products, what you make at the end of if you were cooking something. So in this case, sugar, or another word for sugar is glucose, represented by C6H12O6. Those are different elements mixed, bonded together, and oxygen gas. Now, how this all kind of plays together is through our last whiteboard. And our last whiteboard is a diagram you're also going to have in your notes, but you have to be able to read the diagram. Now, how this diagram starts, I would start at the top. Here is the sun. Remember, the sun is our ultimate source of energy. Now, what happens is our sun is going to shine down and be absorbed by plants, specifically a special part in plants called the chloroplast, okay? Now, the plant is going to go through photosynthesis. It needs not only energy from the sun, but the other reactant it needs are water and carbon dioxide. So plants are going to absorb those 3 things: sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. These are the things that plants need to go through photosynthesis. What they're doing in photosynthesis is taking the sun and converting or changing it into a useful form of energy, known as sugar or glucose. This is what becomes the products. So our products, we have two of them, sugar and oxygen, which is good for us because now if we eat the plant, we get that sugar, that converted form of sunlight energy, and we're also getting oxygen, which we need when we breathe. Now, what are we going to use sugar and oxygen for? Well, we have to convert it again in our bodies to make it into useful energy. So the sugar and oxygen now becomes the reactant, and it goes into all living things that have a mitochondria. So plants and animals, actually all living things to a degree, go through this process inside themselves called cellular respiration. So that sugar and that oxygen goes into my body, and it needs to be converted or changed into something more useful. In this case, it's going to be changed into what's called ATP. ATP is a little molecule inside all living things, and it powers keeping us alive. We're going to spend some more time talking about what ATP is, but just for now, know that it's the conversion from sunlight to sugar to ATP. The other products that are produced, and they're actually waste products, are water and carbon dioxide. This is why we breathe out carbon dioxide, and this is why we pee or urinate out water. They're extra waste products, okay? Notice this is starting to form a cycle. The reactants, what we start with for one thing, are the products for the other reaction. So these all depend on one another. Remember, blue are reactants and red, the red arrows, are the products, what comes out. Finally, at the very end, you'll see down here at the very, very, very bottom, I have the word heat. What happens when we have excess energy, remember energy can never be destroyed, created or destroyed, but extra energy gets released into the universe, the atmosphere, as heat. This is why when you're working out a lot, your skin might feel hot to the touch as you're releasing heat energy. This is also why when you're in a super crowded space, I know it's been a while since we've been crowded, but like homecoming, when you were all packed in, it feels really hot because everyone's body is giving off excess energy in the form of heat. So to kind of summarize, this process is what keeps us alive by getting energy into our body. It's going from the sun, it's being changed in photosynthesis into sugar, and then from sugar, it's going into our cells, into the mitochondria, and being converted or changed into ATP, which is what keeps us alive. And then the waste products start the process all over again. Now what we need you guys to do is go back into your worksheet, fill in all the answers. If you have any questions, please let us know.